Hi, I'm Andrew Eggelton, and I'm going to do a brief introduction here of not so much my background, but where my focus is in the beautiful craft of presenting or public speaking. My main areas of focus, or one might say I'm slightly obsessed by, is authenticity. What does just be you really mean? And of course, how to actually accomplish that. Beyond that is connection, the level, the depth of connection that we can have with our audience, and of course the emotional impact that we can have on them as well. I also tie that into what is the experience that we want to have with our audience. So many speakers or coaches will tell you that it's all about the audience, whereas I reverse it. I don't believe that's true. It starts with the speaker. It starts with the presenter. We have to decide what is the experience that we want to have when we're speaking. How do we choose that? How do we want the audience to receive us and to receive our words? The last part, and which is where most entrepreneurs and speakers and organizations struggle, is in the clarity of what we are articulating, our message, and how we deliver that, and of course the impact that that has on our audience. So let's begin with authenticity. When I was working in film and TV as a full-time TV presenter, I worked in production and, as I said, film, and slowly moved and progressed into public speaking. The main thing I wanted to discover was what does just be you actually mean? So how do you truly become authentic? And I realized that authenticity had to become the baseline of our speaking, not the ultimate goal or the end goal. So without true authenticity, we weren't able to connect deeply or with the kind of depth or feeling that we truly wanted or craved. So as we move from the age of information into the age of connection, how do we get to that level of connection of which people crave? So the baseline has to be authenticity. Without authenticity, we don't have true presence. Without true presence, we don't have that connection. Authenticity cannot be our idea of what authenticity looks like. You either are or you aren't. Authenticity is when your inside world is manifested truthfully on the outside. So your internal world is seen in the external world, and there can be no disparity, no difference between what is happening on the inside and what you are projecting on the outside. They need to be congruent. And by the way, this is actually why I use horses or equine assisted training to help presenters with this. I know it sounds like a strange tool, but it creates magic. So authenticity, how do you just be you? What does just be you mean? I mean, it's a very ambiguous statement and piece of advice that we keep getting given. How do you just be you? I think that is one of my best areas of understanding and being able to teach and mentor people. And when we have that, we realize that there is no specific state that we need to be in. No alternative state than the one we actually are feeling off the side of stage or camera. And how we are feeling today is the gift that we have been given. And when we choose to deny that state, to deny that state of authenticity, that true authenticity, we begin in what most presenters do, which is project. And we project for example, our idea of what likable is. We project our idea of what a speaker looks like. We project our idea of what trustworthy looks like, honest looks like, authentic, again, looks like. So when you are projecting, you are not, your external world is not an external manifestation of what's happening inside. So you're not present. You are trying to be something else. You're trying to show your audience something else. And of course, your audience, unlike horses, aren't quite as savvy as the horses. who have an incredible heart-brain consciousness, and they pick up on this. But the audience don't feel as connected. And one of my ultimate tools, of which I teach speakers, is called suspended presence, when they're able to suspend an audience in a prolonged space between the words and hold them there. And you can only do this if you are incredibly present, which requires you to be authentic. So the connection, once we have discovered what authenticity feels like, and we're not afraid of it, and we don't feel like we have to be more than what we really are. Remember, authenticity creates the connection, but it is the craft that enables us to lead the invisible dance. The invisible dance is when we become truly connected deeply, and we can literally lead our audience in a dance. So it's like a conductor with their orchestral ensemble, if you were to be dramatic. The connection then is speakers who work with me. I want them to feel a level of connection that they have never felt before, that is truly remarkable. It's stimulating, it's memorable. Remember that the brain is more enriched by experiences than it is by knowledge. So when speakers are able to not just give part with their information, or their wisdom, as I prefer to call it, they're able to do it in a way that their brain, their limbic brain, is having an emotional experience. Those experiences obviously create emotions. Those emotions are stored in our body, and that is when we go back to when people often say they remember how you made them feel, not everything that you said. Okay. That level of connection, I want speakers to have a special experience. The kind of presenting that I wanted to experience, the kind of experience I wanted to have when presenting didn't exist, which is why I created my own kind of style. And it's taken nearly 3 decades. So that the best possible gift that we can give our audience is our true selves. That is the gift. That is where the magic happens. It's when we gift them our true internal world. So I work in not just the words, but in the space between the words, because the space between the words is as potent, if not more, than the words themselves. It is in there that our audience have their own personal journey. Okay, so one of the first questions I get a speaker to ask is, what is the experience you want to have with your audience? And then we work backwards. This is different for everybody, by the way. This isn't a cookie cutter approach. It can't be. We're all completely different, with different ideas or dreams of what it's meant to look like on stage. But ultimately, nearly everybody that I speak to wants to move their audience, it feels like when we have that deep connection, that there's a piece of string attached from you to their hearts and their minds, and we're able to pull those and take them on this really beautiful journey. So effectively, we go beyond the words. The last part is when you are truly authentic and you are connected, and you have this ability to live, to occupy the space between the words and then not surrender it. You have this ability for the brain and the mouth and the heart-brain consciousness to be congruent, and you're able to articulate it exactly what it is that you want to say in that moment, on your point, in your wisdom. This is where the magic happens. And this is where organizations and public speakers and presenters, entrepreneurs, business owners, wherever you are, if you're a small company or a big company, everybody needs to be able to articulate their ideas, their imagination, what it is that they do and what it is their business does and who they serve, who they help. Everyone needs to be able to do that with absolute clarity and using the most potent of words possible, so everybody remembers that meeting, that speech, that keynote, or that video. That pretty much is me in a nutshell.